Listen, I'm just glad that we're only a Star Wars podcast because with the amount of announcements that happened today on this 4-hour call, we would not be able to cover it in one video with all the Disney and Marvel and Pixar announcements.
I guess I need to watch Willow. Whatever Willow is, I don't even know.
I've never seen it either, but it stars Warwick Davis, who played the
Little Ewok?
The Ewok. What's his name? I can't remember that Ewok's name.
Kit Fisto. Welcome, everyone, to Dagobah Emergency Podcast. Sean,
it's an emergency, people.
Today may be, here's a hot take for you, right off the bat. Today may be the saddest day in Star Wars history.
Listen, I can tell from your background where this is going, and it is interesting, so I'll let you take the floor. With the wealth of announcements that have been given today, Joseph, why do you think today is a sad day?
Where is our 11 from Stranger Things Princess Leia spinoff, Princess of Alderaan? How could they not announce that?
You're so dumb. That is not what you want to say right now. Just say it. Say it.
How are they going to put Anakin Skywalker in the Kenobi one? Oh, is that not it either? Listen, I was setting you guys up. I tricked you, okay? Setting you up for this. I think it's safe to say Rian Johnson is not doing another Star Wars movie. And that honestly hurts a lot. Because he made the greatest Star Wars movie of all time. And yes, I may be tearing up a little bit right now because I love Rian Johnson. I'm sad.
Listen, we talked a year ago. It was a long time ago that we discussed this question. They announced a trilogy? They announced that Rian Johnson would be helming a trilogy of Star Wars movies. And with all of the announcements that they gave today, that basically, as far as I know, these announcements go through the next 3 to 4 years. You're telling me that they didn't say anything about a Rian Johnson trilogy? To me, that just makes it feel like evidence that is on hold indefinitely or scrapped completely.
So the little inkling of hope I'm clinging on to is, correct me if I'm wrong, but did they talk about Taika Waititi? I can't remember his name. Did they talk about his feature film?
Yeah, Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi. Did they talk about his film in this call?
They definitely tweeted something about it. The Star Wars Twitter account tweeted about it, but I don't know if they gave details on the actual call, other than it's happening.
Because my thought was, talk about that, which was already announced, then maybe they're like, we don't need to announce something we've already talked about, or
no, they talked about it.
Re-announce it.
They at least acknowledged it. They didn't give details of what it's about or anything like that, but they said it's happening. And I didn't hear, Ryan was not even close to ever mentioned.
Well, thanks for tuning into our podcast. Like and subscribe, everyone. Let us know what you think if you're ever going to watch another Star Wars movie, TV show again. Because I'm not. We're changing the channel. We're going Lord of the Rings, okay? Because that's got something coming up soon, at least.
Listen, I still contend that if I was Rian Johnson, why would I want to do another Star Wars project? If I was him, he's coming off of Knives Out, which was objectively fantastic, critically acclaimed, everybody loved it. Why would he go back into the lion's den of vitriol from toxic Star Wars fans who just hate him? And from Lucasfilm, from Disney's standpoint, there are plenty of talented people. All these people they announced today that are working on these projects, like, they probably are like, we can get talented, awesome people to work on our projects that aren't going to be controversial to the fan base. But I still say, Joseph, I know you may not believe me, I would have liked to see a Rian Johnson trilogy. I want to see him from start to finish own the story, and because Knives Out is obviously fantastic. But when he had to have one part of a 3-part series, it
worked beautifully. Is that what you're going to say?
Well, not it worked beautifully independently in a vacuum,
Yeah.
but it didn't work beautifully in the trilogy.
In the sandwich that is,
JJ.
his name already, J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is taking a turn because I thought we were going to talk about all the fun announcements, and now we've spent 10 minutes wallowing in our misery that Rian Johnson doesn't have a trilogy.
Well, good. Okay. There are some big announcements. Sean, in all transparency, Sean watched this call. I did not. So I'm going to let Sean take over most of this, and I'll just give my hot takes as I feel them. So, Sean, what do they start with?
Okay, so why don't we just go through the projects that, first of all, we all should have bought Disney stock yesterday. I don't know if how stocks actually work, but...
Wait, so if you buy stock of Disney, could you have seen the blacked out footage they showed? Because that was only for shareholders?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Just buy one stock of Disney and watch all the exclusive stuff.
I think it's like $155 if you want to say you're a part owner.
Huh. Okay, sorry.
Anyway, so right off the bat, they announced that in the next several years, they didn't give a definitive timeline, but they said in the next several years, there will be 10 new Marvel series on Disney Plus and 10 Star Wars series on Disney Plus. Now, you had said this a couple weeks ago in one of our Mandalorian episode reviews that you thought AHSOKA everything was gearing up to all these spin-off shows. And I thought, yeah, they'll do some, but 10? They're doing 10 of them in the next 3 years? We're going to have 10 different Star Wars shows running on Disney Plus?
Let's talk about that for a moment.
Let's talk about that. I couldn't agree more. Before we even talk about what the shows are, is that oversaturation?
It depends, I guess, on what they are. I assume some of them will be kid-driven.
Yes.
Like the droid stories and I'm trying to look at the other ones. Bad Batch, I guess. I kind of reading through them. Some of them did seem kid-driven.
Yeah, Visions will be kid-driven, I think. It's like the Japanese anime one.
Uh-huh. So it depends on if they're going to be a full-blown Mandalorian, like live-action set pieces in the void sort of stuff, or are they going to be animated? I know one of them is animated, Bad Batch, and I think is Droid Story animated?
I think it will be, yes, and so is Visions.
Okay, so obviously there's different age groups that they're going after, which I agree with, but there are so many, I feel like, of the, not adult as in R-rated PG-13 sort of stuff, but just adult geared things that I think it's going to be hard to keep track of. But maybe we'll be wrong. Maybe, are we not getting another Star Wars movie for a few years?
Well, what I still don't know, and I was in and out of the call, so I didn't get to watch the whole thing continuously. It's a 4-hour call. I couldn't watch the whole thing. But what I still am unsure about are those movie dates that they have for that trilogy. Remember, there's like a 2022, 2024, 2026 release dates that they've claimed. I'm like, what is that going to be? I don't think there was any talk about that. Maybe that's Ryan's.
Well, why didn't they say anything?
Yeah. And if they did say something and you watched the call and you know more than us, comment down below. Yeah, I agree with you. I am curious if this is oversaturation. Obviously, people like us, we're going to watch it. That's not the question. The question is the millions of subscribers they've gotten to Disney Plus because The Mandalorian has drawn them in that were not hardcore Star Wars fans, that were casual. Oh, that looks interesting. Oh, everyone's talking about this. And all of a sudden, The Mandalorian is like an event every week. I hear references to The Mandalorian on the sports talk radio show I listen to on my commute. They take segments out of the sports talk to talk about The Mandalorian. So I'm just curious if
I wonder if they're trying to keep subscribers year round. I wonder if they have a subset of people who just subscribe for The Mandalorian, and so they're trying to keep them for the year round. So they're trying to do this schedule where they have, okay, now Mandalorian is here for 8 weeks, but right after that it's going to be Cassian Andor, you know?
Yes. And I think you nailed it on the head, because starting in 2021 and in the spring, January starts WandaVision for the MCU for Marvel with the Scarlet Witch and Vision, and that show's going to run. Then the Loki show comes out in March. This is going to become such a wave where, really, if you think in the last year, Mandalorian has been the only thing I can really think of every week people were waiting for the next episode, in terms of an original show. And now there's going to be tons of content like that. And I think you're exactly right. They're trying to turn this into a regular cable TV channel where you have seasons and you're going to have just a 24/7 must-watch content on Disney Plus. So I think they're obviously setting up a very strong position for the future. But, I'll be curious. They announce all these things, so I assume they're all going to happen, but I'll be curious if maybe some of these don't actually happen. If they start working on them, some of them seem to be early in pre-production. Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll say, hey, this actually isn't working. We've seen them do that before with Disney-era Star Wars. They start working on something and then announce it or whatever, and it's like, this isn't working. And so they scrap it. And I heard a comparison actually to Game of Thrones, and how Game of Thrones is obviously super popular in the public consciousness, critically acclaimed. HBO Max had announced 4 spin-off shows of Game of Thrones, and then the last season happened and everybody hated it, and they scrapped 3 of the 4 spin-off shows, and now they're only doing 1.
Oh, wow.
And so I don't think it's going to be the same thing with Star Wars, but
does everything come down to this season of The Mandalorian?
Well,
Who's the Jedi that shows up?
I think that The Mandalorian is fine, and it's the popularity of The Mandalorian that probably encouraged them to say, let's invest in Disney Plus in these series for sure. Anyway, should we go through the shows, the 10 shows that they announced?
Let's talk about them. Let's do the kid ones first.
Well, I'm going to go in order of what I have.
Oh, okay.
Here, and so otherwise I'll get confused. So the first one is just Mandalorian. So they just showed a sizzle reel of Mandalorian, and they announced season 3 of Mandalorian will come in Christmas of 2021.
Okay.
So awesome. I'm sure we're all excited for that, but not anything super new or exciting.
Who cares? Moving on.
Yes. Then they announced a show called Rangers of the New Republic, which is a new original series set within the timeline of The Mandalorian. So I feel like this is going to be the highway patrolman, the Dave Filoni's of The Mandalorian show.
It's going to be the what's her face, the
Cara Dune
spin-off.
Yeah, the X-Wing pilots out in the Outer Rim. I don't know. It's going to be about them. It's set during the timeline of The Mandalorian. So, I mean, again,
Reno 911.
Some of these things, I feel like when they announced, I thought in my head, okay, I don't know if I'm super hyped about that, but I have to be honest, I felt kind of the same way when they announced The Mandalorian. I'm like, am I going to like this? And obviously I love it. So I just have to trust that it's going to be good.
Yeah.
The thing that I don't know about, and I'm curious to see, is if they will slowly start to announce or make a transition to Jon Favreau like overseeing a lot of these projects, or if he's just going to be isolated on The Mandalorian. Are he and Dave just going to be on The Mandalorian and all of these other shows?
They need someone to be an owner. They need someone to be an owner of all of these things.
Yeah.
A single person they go to and be like, that fits into the story, or no.
Well, that goes back to the age-old, what fractured the fandom in the first place. was that Kathleen Kennedy is supposed to be that person, but people don't think she's done a great job. Now, obviously, from a business standpoint, she has done as good a job as anyone could hope. She's been fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with the amount of money they've brought in and the content that they've pumped out. Um, but, Marvel has Kevin Feige. He's like a well-known name in the fandoms because
Doesn't he have a Star Wars movie too?
that's what they announced, but I don't know. And was his going to be in tandem with like Taika Waititi's? I don't know. I don't even know. It's all too confusing. Um, but yeah, for a long time, Star Wars fans have been saying Star Wars needs a Kevin Feige, and is Jon Favreau going to be Star Wars' Kevin Feige?
I'd be happy with that. Or Dave Filoni.
Because Kathleen Kennedy is way more of an executive producer.
Yeah,
She's the best in history. Like, she knows how to produce the content, but she's not and I don't know her, so who am I to say this? But I don't really see her as the creative force behind.
Yeah. That's not her niche.
Yeah, she's not the creator. She's more of the producer, which is fine. You need that. Anyway, so Rangers of the New Republic. I mean, I'm interested. Then the next one, obviously, which is a much bigger one, and we all expected, was AHSOKA. So Rosario Dawson, who we saw in chapter 13, The Jedi, in season 2 of The Mandalorian, she will reprise the role of Ahsoka Tano. It said, set in the timeline of The Mandalorian, so which makes sense because Rosario looks the way she looks in that episode of The Mandalorian, so they're going to keep that look and make it consistent with that timeline. I still think that we're a little bit fuzzy on, well, how does that timeline fit into Ezra and Sabine and all that stuff? But I think we fully expect that they'll explore all of that in this series.
We'll see where that epilogue was.
Yeah. And then next they talked about Andor, which is the Cassian Andor series.
So we knew about that one. I'm super excited for that one. Because that not only has Cassian Andor, but also K2SO and other. I love just the idea of seeing the rebellion from that point of view. Like, super excited for that.
And they had a 2-minute sizzle reel with this one. Now with the Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka, they just had logos.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have any footage or anything. But Cassian Andor, they had a sizzle reel. It was a lot of just like interviews of like Diego Luna and stuff like that. And I think the actual footage we saw in it was probably from Rogue One, but I could be wrong. It maybe was from what we're going to see in the series, but it looked similar to Rogue One, like Yavin 4 and stuff like that. But it said that one isn't coming until 2022, which I was surprised by.
I thought we were getting that next year.
I thought that was also going to be 2021, but it said coming and streaming in 2022 on Disney Plus.
I bet you COVID really probably interrupted that whole thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. So then the next one, which we all knew about already, was our beloved Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi coming back, an original series set 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. But the big thing that I don't think anyone expected, or at least I didn't expect, was they announced Hayden Christensen will be involved in the series and reprise his role as Darth Vader.
Fantastic.
Oh, I love it.
Best news of the night.
I love it. He should have been in Rise of Skywalker.
Yes. Yes, he should have.
Yes, and it just, I'm like, I think they'll have to be careful with it because it would kind of, it would break up the canon, the continuity of the original trilogy, because doesn't Obi-Wan and Vader act like they haven't seen each other basically since Mustafar when they meet on the Death Star?
Are we assuming too much? Are we reading too much about what they're saying because of our previous knowledge?
Yes. As soon as I said it, I thought to myself, well, you could easily do some mind logic to say.
So Vader says to Kenobi, last time we met, I was but the learner, right? But now I am the master.
Only a master of evil, Darth.
So if they could somehow make that still agreeable, I am all for. But it would
And
have
then
to
Vader,
include
but Vader senses the presence first, and he's like, "A presence I haven't felt since." And then he goes and tells Tarkin, and Tarkin's like, "Obi-Wan Kenobi, he can't. Is he even still alive?"
Uh-huh.
And Vader's like, "He's alive. He's on this, battle station. I felt it."
So we don't
that
know when the last time was he felt it.
very true.
Kenobi could get off Tatooine. I don't think Kenobi is. Sure, he's babysitting Luke, but I don't think he's like beholden to stay in his little hut.
So
right?
true. I mean, look at my background. It's the moisture farm, the Lars homestead on Tatooine. I don't know if it cropped it out because of the Skype call, but listen, we're gonna have to see 10-year-old Luke on this. Am I right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And we have to see 10-year-old Leia on Alderaan with Jimmy Smith reprising the role of Bail Organa.
Yes.
And we've got to see the juggling clown Jar Jar Binks on Naboo.
Yes.
Being made fun of by all the children in the street. I mean, I've written a whole series for them, basically.
Maybe that's why they scrapped it. They were like, we forgot Jar Jar Binks. We need to rewrite this.
I will be curious.
So here's my question. Is it going to be Darth Vader with Anakin, or is it going to be flashbacks?
The way that they said, they specifically said Hayden Christensen returns as Darth Vader.
Yeah, so I think, and I would also think, if it was just flashbacks, they wouldn't announce that Hayden Christensen's joining the project. That would just be kind of a fun, oh, cool, no way, they brought Hayden back for this?
But here's the thing.
They announced it, he's got a bigger role.
I think it'll be primarily Vader in the suit, but will we see Hayden's face at some point?
Well, we see Darth Vader's eye in Rebels, right?
Yeah.
I mean...
Or maybe he's in like on Rogue One, he'll be in a Bacta tank, but we'll actually see his face or something. Because it would be weird to me why get Hayden Christensen to come back if he's in the suit the whole time and it's not his voice?
Yeah.
Then what's the point? Like, why did you bring him back? So maybe it'll be him in the suit, and there will also be flashbacks where you see his face of him and Obi-Wan.
I can't believe they're doing it. That is so cool.
Yeah, no, I love it.
They need to explore Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader way more. He needs his own series.
Well, and then just think of too, I am a sucker for this type of stuff, but I feel like the opportunity for redemption for Hayden Christensen with the Star Wars fan base of like, I think most people have, come around on it and don't hate him, even though they hate the prequels. But I feel like when the prequels came out, that dissatisfaction with it, people focused on actually hating the person Hayden Christensen. And you're like, what is he going to do? George Lucas wrote the worst dialogue in history. But anyway, I feel like this is like a welcome back into the fold, into the family type of thing. Let's give him an opportunity to really have like a good project here. I'm excited for it.
Sorry we cut that scene of you from Exegol. Here's a spot in a TV show.
Yeah. And I'm fully expecting in this show for Darth Vader to reveal to Obi-Wan or accuse Obi-Wan of harboring Grogu and saying, I know you have Grogu. Where is he? Give him up. I'm searching for him.
Oh, Grogu and the Jedi Temple.
I hope that in all 10 of these shows, Grogu makes really random cameos. He's not any part of the plot, but he's just in them. He's in the background of a scene. Like, there's Grogu. He's just an eternal character.
They need to release a special edition of the prequels and just digitally place Grogu in the Jedi Temple.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise, who knows where he actually was? Was he in the bathroom when he murdered all those younglings? I survived.
He was in the vents. He was like Among Us, an imposter, or he was being cradled by Mace Windu. That's what he was doing.
Yes.
Or I saw another theory that maybe it was the librarian Jocasta Nu who helped him escape. Anyway, so that was the Obi-Wan stuff. We didn't get footage, but we got a 10-second clip of the logo turning into dust or something like
I
the
hate sand. The rest of
so
course gets
anyway,
everywhere.
but super excited about that one. I thought it was awesome. So next they talked about the Bad Batch, which is they had already announced before. It's an animated show. It's about clone troopers,
Cool.
specifically the Bad Batch from the last season of the Clone Wars.
I'll
Um,
watch it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
I
watch
like the 4 episode arc in the new Clone Wars. I'll take more of it.
Yeah, and they gave a 1 minute little clip of footage of it
Yeah.
too. You can go and watch. So yeah, I'll watch it for sure. I didn't when they first announced it, I didn't love it. I was like, okay, we have Clone Wars, 7 seasons of it, and now we're doing a spin-off show of the Clone Wars with more clones and just following a squadron of clones. But I just had in Dave Filoni I trust. I just gotta be on board with it. I'll watch it. And yeah. So this is where the projects that started getting announced, I was like not expecting and had no idea what they were talking about. So then they announced something called Star Wars Visions, which is an original series, and it's all going to be short films. So similar to what they're like doing on YouTube already, um, with like the what's it called, Galaxy something.
Galaxy of Heroes.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called. It's something like that, but um, and like the anime shorts and stuff. So this literally basically said, the blurb says celebrates the Star Wars galaxy through the lens of the world's best Japanese anime creators. So it's going to be a bunch of Star Wars anime short films.
If it's anything like the Clone Wars, and I say Clone Wars as in the original Clone Wars, I'm all for it.
Yeah. So again, I think to your point, this is going to be different enough to where it's a different target audience.
This won't be something that people talk about at work every Monday, right? No.
This isn't competing with Mandalorian. This is like a different niche.
This seems more like the Lego Star Wars, the Freemakers sort of vein. And this and the droid story sort of.
Yeah. Yeah, so that one, Star Wars anime short films, I'm like, cool. I mean, I'll watch them, but we'll see about that one. So then the next one that I'm actually super excited about is a Lando. You're not excited about this?
I don't know. I don't know.
A Lando Calrissian original series. So, well,
Okay,
it says,
but
sorry,
our roommate and never gonna be on the show, Shane Kaysen wants to know: is it going to have
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover?
How could it not?
It's got.
It has to. Well, unless it's Billy D. Williams and it's old Lando after Rise of Skywalker.
Where he's traveling around on that little crawler because he's like, I couldn't. Luke left, so I stayed here.
Maybe it is old Lando with Janna from Rise of Skywalker trying to help her find her family.
Hey, that'd be sweet. I think Billy D's pretty. He's getting pretty old though.
Yeah. So this is where I wasn't actually watching the feed, so I don't know what they said. I'm just seeing on the internet what they published, but the language is different. They don't say an original series. They say a brand new event series, which makes me think, is this like it's like not a serial type, like a episodic traditional show, and it's like a 2-part event or something? I don't know what that means.
I wonder if they couldn't get Donald Glover for a full season or something, or I don't know.
Yeah, so it could just be, I don't know what that means, so I can only speculate, but I think it will not look like what the other shows look like. It'll be something different.
Good catch, good catch.
So then this is another one that I feel like I'm very excited about. Star Wars The Acolyte.
Yeah, what in the world is this?
So this is our first confirmation that we are going to get content other than books about the High Republic.
Good. We need something on screen.
Yes. And so I'm all for it. I feel like we need to see this, obviously. I think of maybe all the announcements other than the Obi-Wan series, I think I may be most excited for this one.
Because it's such an untouched part of the world.
Yes, it is completely brand new. We have no expectations. We don't know anything about this world that we're about to see. And so the little blurb says, The Acolyte is a mystery thriller that will take viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era.
Okay, is that that's a TV show, right?
Yeah, it's a series. It's a TV show.
Doesn't that sound a lot like Knives Out to you? A mystery thriller?
But they've already said it's by Leslie Headland.
Ah!
It's Ryan Johnson.
Dang it.
But I will agree that not only is this a new era for Star Wars, but this is a new genre.
Yep.
Mystery thriller is not Star Wars. And so I'm really excited.
It hasn't been Star Wars.
That's what I should say. I'm not saying that as a criticism, like you can't do it. I'm saying Star Wars has not seen mystery thriller content. And so I am very excited about it. We're going to get a mystery thriller. We're going to get it in the High Republic era. I mean, shadowy secrets, emerging dark side powers. And it says the final days of the High Republic. So we're going to get to see this transition into basically the Republic that we see during the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, it will end as Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan travel to Naboo to discuss a Trade Federation blockade, right?
Do we consider that the end of the High Republic? I don't know what the timelines are.
I don't know.
Yeah, but no, I am excited about it. I think
Sweet.
If you're making 10 shows, you gotta have one like this. You gotta kind of branch out a little bit. So anyway, I'm excited about it. The logo looks pretty cool. No footage of it, obviously, just logo. So then they announced, the droid story, Star Wars: A Droid Story, and it says this is animated. So it says Lucasfilm Animation is teaming up with Industrial Light and Magic to develop a special Star Wars adventure, A Droid Story. This epic journey will introduce us to a new hero guided by R2-D2 and C-3PO.
Nice.
So we'll get some new droid, and R2 and C-3PO will be characters in it, and that's about all we have on that one. I also assume that's going to be a children's show.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway. And there were other, so then they did say, they talked about some other things after that. They talked about like the Willow project. They talked about Indiana Jones, which is Lucasfilm. They talked about this Children of Blood and Bone, which is based off a novel that has nothing to do with Star Wars. And then they got back to it. They mentioned the Taika Waititi film. And all they said is in development. I'm like, all right, cool. And then they showed this 1:20 video of Patty Jenkins, who's a director. She directed the Wonder Woman films, I believe. And I've always heard great things about her. Me and my wife, we like the Wonder Woman movie, and we haven't seen the new one, but we assume we'll like it. Anyway, she's in this video and she's talking about how she has always had a fascination with planes, and her father was a fighter pilot and he lost his life in service to the country. And so she's always tried to want to channel that like grief, but the thrill of flying, because her dad took her up in a fighter jet one time or something. And she wanted to combine that thrill of flying, but also her grief into like a project. And she's just looked and looked and looked for projects to do to tell the best fighter pilot story in movie history. And she's never found the right project until today. And she's like, it's combining two of my favorite things, and I'm super excited about it. I can't wait for you to come with me on this adventure. And this whole time she's like in the back of her car putting on this flight suit, but you don't know what she's doing. At the end, she puts on like a Rebel Alliance X-Wing helmet and like zips up the orange suit and starts walking, and they like on the runway have an X-Wing, and she's like walking towards the X-Wing, and it comes up Star Wars Rogue Squadron. And so again, I wish they would have done this at some sort of like convention so you can hear like the roar of the crowd. I'm sure people would have flipped out. Obviously, you know, on Twitter, Star Wars Explained was like freaking out. It's like his favorite property ever in Star Wars. But yeah, so this is going to be a feature film. This is going to be a full movie. This is not just a TV show.
It sounds awesome.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I think it's going to be sweet. Anyway, so yeah, you can look up. It's on Twitter. I'm sure it's on YouTube at this point. The minute and 30-second clip of Patty Jenkins talking about Rogue Squadron.
Man, what am I most excited for? Hayden Christensen. What am I second most excited for? The Acolyte.
Yeah.
And then this sounds like it's pretty fun. Rogue Squadron feature film. I mean, the Starship battles are the best part of any Star Wars movie, in my opinion, especially Rogue One. Like, if it's anything like that 10-minute fight scene above, why am I blanking on all these names right now?
Scarif?
Scarif. Then yes, sign me up.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. There are, you know, 3 or 4 of these projects that I'm like super excited for. Then there's 3 to 4 that I'm like, all right, I'm not like super hyped for it, but I'm sure they'll win me over. Mm-hmm. But I'm not anticipating like just loving it to death. And then there's 2 that I'm like, that's probably not for me, but that's fine. I'm not mad that they announced them, and I'm sure that a lot of people will love them, which is pretty good. I mean, that's pretty spoiled for a Star Wars fan if you're like, oh, they announced 10 projects. They announced 10 things they're doing today, and, you know, 8 of them I feel like I'll really like. 2 of them I'm probably not interested in. So, you know, they're really destroying this franchise. That's obviously not the case. There's so much promising content coming out that, yeah, I mean, Obi-Wan, Hayden Christensen, I think I also was most excited about that, which is saying something, because I'm sure a lot of fans are probably annoyed, like, can we get any type of new content like the Acolyte? And instead we're all hyped up that, again, we're seeing Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader. Can we get away from Darth Vader and the Skywalker clan? Anyway, Obi-Wan, the Acolyte, Bad Batch, so that's what, 3. Cassian Andor is 4. Rangers of the New Republic, AHSOKA, Rogue Squadron, Lando, Visions is 9, and Droid Story is 10. Yeah. And Mandalorian is technically 11, but I don't know if they counted that in the 10 new projects.
If all they would have done today is said, Mandalorian Season 3 is announced and Hayden Christensen is coming back, we would have been ecstatic. Like, oh my gosh, Hayden Christensen's coming back. And then they threw 9 more things on us. Crazy.
You know what? There's that.
Yes, the video games suck.
They need to work on that for sure. But really what I feel like was awesome about today was that visual of Kathleen Kennedy standing in front of that screen with all those project titles on the screen. And I'm like, that is what we were begging for 3 years ago. When Marvel was doing those types of presentations at, you know, D23 or whatever, and we thought at Star Wars Celebration, they need to do this. They need to get up there and show a timeline of all the projects they have planned and coming out. And Marvel did so well with that type of marketing of the phases. Here's phase 1. Now we're in phase 2 of the movies. Here's phase 3. And it always ended with this major event of an Avengers movie. And I just thought that just seems like a recipe for success. And a couple of years ago, or whenever that was at that Star Wars Celebration, we didn't get that. We got the Mandalorian announcement, and that was about it. Like, yeah, I mean, Rise of Skywalker's coming out, Mandalorian's coming out, and that's about it. And it just felt like, wow, what's the pipeline for content? Is this dead? Because at the time, Disney Plus, we didn't understand what the possibility was. And I thought the pipeline for the movies was like drying up. They were canceling the standalones. I'm like, this is going to take forever for them to get back on the saddle with this. But clearly, I was wrong.
Well, I'm super excited for it. We would like to hear from you guys if you're excited about this. I'm sure all of you are. But what are you most excited for, and what are you most sad about? Can I get some love in the chat about Rian Johnson?
Yeah, tell us what project you're most excited about. Any surprising projects announced that you weren't expecting, and we'd love to hear that in the comments. Like the video if you enjoyed the discussion today. Like the video if you're excited about the projects that were announced. Wink, wink. So all of you should be liking the video. Subscribe to the channel if you want the notifications on when we have a new video. And until next time, Joseph, we have spoken.
This is the way. We'll see you tomorrow for another Mandalorian episode review.
We'll be back with another episode of Dads of Dagobah. Bye.
See ya.